You're listening to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. Did you know that you could build a tax-free pool of wealth that's liquid and accessible all your life while building your retirement nest egg? Gain full control of your financial future and stop relying on the government and banks. The wealthy have already discovered this wealth-building secret. Now it's your turn to get financially secure without following the conventional wisdom that keeps you in debt to banks. Now here's your host, Valerie LaRocque.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Infinite Banking Mastery Podcast. I thought today that I would go over health underwriting in more detail. I feel like it's somewhat self-explanatory, or that's something you would expect certain things to happen. But sometimes it feels like people are confused or uncertain or wondering why their underwriters are asking certain questions. So I just thought I would clarify the process and help you understand more what's happening when you apply for life insurance. So the first thing, of course, you're going to sign an application. And when you're signing that application, the whole purpose of the application is simply to give permission to do a health underwriting. So we are acquiring your permission when you sign the application to look into your health. And you're giving us that permission to look into your health in whatever way that needs to happen. Certainly, I'm not looking into your health. It's the underwriting team at the insurance company that's looking into your health. So you're giving them the permission to have an examiner come over, take blood and urine if necessary, ask a bunch of health questions and lifestyle questions, and also to request medical records if they so end up needing them. A lot of times too, because we have a document inside of the application that is asking medical providers for health records for the permission to receive those. And I think I've mentioned before, a lot of times these medical facilities or clinics don't like our form, they don't want it. And so even though you've already signed for it and you've already given that permission, they may have their own form. And then here you are thinking everything's rocking and rolling. And then I have to come to you and say, hey, I need this form signed so they can release your records. And you realize it's going to take some more time, because now we need to send that document over and wait for them to release the records, which is usually not very quick. I have one person in underwriting right now where we confirmed receipt of the written request of the form that they required that she sign. And it's been at least 4 weeks. And every time the company checks in, they just say, we can't give you a status update. We are behind. We can't give you a status update. We're like 3 weeks behind in this sending out records or whatever it is, that all the tasks that they do there. And so we've just been waiting and waiting, and they really don't give any information as far as how soon to expect them to release the records. So you just never know how long it's going to take once you do get them the correct form or the form that will allow them to release the records. So you're signing an application that gives the permission, and then whether you are doing an accelerated version of an application or a full underwriting application, the health questions may be asked either by our team or an examiner that comes over to your home or your workplace to take blood and urine. And they can take different things. Sometimes they need an EKG or something like that. But those questions will be asked one way or the other. And so once those questions are asked, then the underwriter will see that information, and then some of that stuff tips off their request for other things, for other records. Now, I refer to accelerated underwriting. That's actually what my primary company calls it. There are, I'm sure, different ways of saying it at different life insurance companies, different versions, different speeds with which they get things done, different things that they're doing in underwriting. So I can't blanket statement and say that every single insurance company has calls it accelerated underwriting or full underwriting. I think is common terminology for any insurance company, but I can't blanket statement otherwise the terminology accelerated underwriting. With whatever type of life insurance policy or underwriting that you are choosing to move forward with, whether it be accelerated or full underwriting, the underwriting will be thorough. And so the only difference is that with full underwriting, they are doing a blood and urine. They're having an examiner come over. But even if we select accelerated, they absolutely can still request an examiner to come over. So even though we're saying we want to skip that, we don't want to have to meet with that nurse or that examiner, doesn't mean that they can't still require it or ask for it. And so it's just a way to kind of get around it if we think our health is good enough and that we shouldn't need to go through all that, or the medical records are up to date with our doctor, and then we can maybe bypass that. And most people are able to bypass the blood and urine if they choose the accelerated path. But you just want to make sure that your health is in tip top shape if you're going to be going that direction, because otherwise they're going to request that medical anyway. But one thing you want to be sure to do is to be honest about anything in your medical history. Sometimes people forget, they don't remember every single thing in their medical history, especially the older you are. Might not remember the answer to every single question or when something happened or the doctor's name, because they do want details. If you have something, if you have to check a box yes on your health questionnaire, they're going to want to know full details. What was your diagnosis? What date was it? What was the time frame that you were diagnosed with this? And how long were you dealing with it? And what was your treatment? And what was the doctor's name that helped you? So they're going to want to know all those details. But if you don't remember certain things, that's okay. You just want to be as honest and forthcoming with the information as possible. You don't want to be caught saying something or not saying something that's happened that you're trying to avoid disclosing. You don't want to do that. So when you apply for the insurance, the underwriter will have access right away to certain information. And so you may think, "Oh, I'm doing accelerated, so, there'll be really brief information or just what I'm telling them is what the underwriter will have access to." But no, they have access to a lot of information actually. One of those things being your prescription record. So you may be on no medications right now. You may say, I'm not taking anything. But if they see something on your prescription record, they certainly are likely to ask about it. Somebody was taking metformin recently, but they were not diabetic. And then they had information on why they were doing it and why it made sense for them. But it was on the prescription record. And so the underwriter automatically thought diabetes. This person has diabetes and did not disclose it. And so they have access to your prescription records. You want to be sure you're honest about any kind of prescriptions that you're taking. They also have access to your driving record. Want to know if you're a crazy driver or a good driver, or you're getting lots of tickets or accidents or things like that, because that helps them to determine risk for you. But also, they can access medical claims. So these are claims that a medical office sends to your insurance company, for example, with diagnosis codes. So then they can see these diagnosis codes and then they might have some questions around that. Something that they have access to is called the Medical Information Bureau, which has been was established in 1902. This is information that's been compiled from other insurance applications for life, health, disability, or long term care insurance. So, this information has been compiled in the Medical Information Bureau, and the underwriter has access to this. It was created for the purpose of trying to detect and deter fraud. They don't want you to be fraudulent, applying at different insurance companies and giving different information. So the MIB helps the life insurance company to assess risk. How risky will it be to offer you insurance? How risky you've been living your life? The type of information that the MIB collects are things like credit information, medical conditions, medical tests, results, treatments, some of your habits, such as smoking, gambling, or drugs, hazardous avocations or hobbies. The information that they discover from the MIB will help them to uncover things you may have omitted to say. And you may have omitted that information on accident or on purpose, but they are just trying to do a thorough job and make sure they're looking through everything. If you omitted something by accident, they'll ask you about it, and then you can say, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about it," or "I forgot that I saw that particular doctor," or that I saw a different doctor than my regular doctor. And then they can go get that information to just look through and make sure you're doing okay. They just want to make sure you're not really, really sick and they're not offering a $2-3 million death benefit to someone who's very, very sick right now. Life insurance is only going to be offered if you're healthy. I would say reasonably healthy, because certainly you could have some conditions, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. You could have higher blood sugar levels, but not be fully diabetic or on insulin. There could be some things going on for sure. And that doesn't mean you're going to be declined or that you're going to get a terrible rating. They just want to see what's going on and what actions you've been taking to treat those health issues and to make sure you're doing your best to stay healthy. So the information with the MIB stays on file for 7 years. If you've applied for insurance within the last 7 years, you will have an MIB file. And if not, then you won't. So it's only within the last 7 years. And you're also able to request that MIB file so that you can see what it says. You can see what information was captured from an application you took, and you can make sure it's correct. So the bottom line is you want to be honest and you don't want to omit things that are documented in your health history. You don't want the underwriter claiming that you lied or weren't honest because that alone can cause a decline. If it's in your health history or in your medical records, the underwriter is likely to find it, so just be honest. And you definitely don't want to start an application with one company and then try to switch companies because you don't like something that you disclosed. Because if the initial application went all the way through and has the information on there that they already captured, the next underwriter will see that omission and it will not be good. You are not likely to end up with a life insurance policy. So, if all this talk of health underwriting made you feel like you're missing out and you just sign up for one of those right away, feel free to reach out. If you need life insurance in general, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, or if you want to diversify your life savings with creating your own personal pension, or if you're excited to begin a whole life policy for the process of the infinite banking concept, and you want to partner with me as your advisor, I would be happy to meet you and help you. You're welcome to reach out to me at valerie@alphaomegawealth.com. Thanks as always for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. Take care.